Hey everybody, hope you're doing good this morning. 7:25, January 25th. I am in my hoodie and ready to rip. It's nice and early in the morning today, and gosh, good day for a nice early morning devotion, that's for sure. Feels that way, really nice, cool. Ooh, just beautiful. Anyway, hope you guys are doing good and enjoying the early morning. And we are going to be in two Proverbs today, Proverbs 4 and 5. So that's what we'll tackle today. And it'll be fun. I go through the Bible. My name's Bo Willette. You could always check out the archives at my YouTube channel at Bo Willette. Just type in that in the YouTube search bar and you'll be ready to go, and you can get into all the archive videos that I've done, and I've done a lot. I go through the Bible and sometimes, a lot of times what blesses me and what has blessed me since I was a young person is just simply going through the Bible. Reading through the Bible. Some people get really wrapped up in a lot of, thoughts and philosophical thoughts and commentaries and, all that kind of thing. For me personally, just like literally reading through it and picking out stuff, just really the plain meaning of the text has always really blessed me. And made sense to me of how our world is and why it's the way it is, and it kind of lines up really nice and smoothly. It lines up very well with what we see out there in the world. Why we die, why the world is the way it is, why we see an absence from God, why we constantly as human beings are wanting forgiveness. What is the problem with human beings? Why human beings are constantly going the wrong way? Why do we use terms like right and wrong anyway? Why we know we ought to do something but we don't do it, right? We constantly need redeeming, it seems like. We constantly try to do things to redeem ourselves, to make ourselves feel good. Why is that? The Bible gives us all the reasons for those things. It talks about definitely a chasm between us and the Creator, and that there's something wrong. And yet the Creator loves us and has a remedy and has come to reveal himself to the world, in which he has in his Son, Jesus, the Messiah. So it's an amazing love story from beginning to end, just absolutely unbelievable of one. I mean, in the sense of unbelievable as an awesome one to definitely just be in awe of. So the Proverbs are wisdom literature. That's where we're at. We're going through the Old Testament, and now I'm in Proverbs 4 and 5. So there's a lot of gems. You could pick out these verses and use them all for a Devo if you want, but I like reading through it. It's kind of fun just to read through them. It says, "My children, listen when your father corrects you." So these proverbs are really from a father to a son. Could be a mother to a daughter, so to speak. But we're going to see the perspective of the proverb is definitely a father, to a son, and we're going to see that specifically. We've already saw that specifically actually in a prior proverb, but we'll see it more here. It says, "Pay attention and learn good judgment, for I'm giving you good guidance." And then it says, "Don't turn away from my instructions," right? "For I too was once my father's son, tenderly loved by my mother's as my mother's only child." Wow, that's kind of cool. Solomon says, hey man, I was loved by my mom, and my dad gave me a lot of proverbs to think about. It's kind of neat, right? And as a father, I'm to instruct. That's one of the things I'm supposed to do, is instruct my kids. As a parent, are you instructing? Do you instruct? What do you instruct them on? And what are the ramifications? What if everybody instructed their kids the way you and I instruct our kids? What if everybody did the exact same thing you did? How would the world be? It's good to think about that. How would the world be if everybody did what you did and what I did, right? If we were just to extrapolate that out to the whole neighborhood, to the whole town, to the whole city, to the whole state, to the whole world, right? What would it be like? Would it be good? What would the ramifications be? Have you given it much thought? My father taught me, take my words to heart, follow my commands, and you will live. Get wisdom, develop good judgment. Don't forget my words or turn away from them. Don't turn your back on wisdom, for she will protect you. Love her, and she will guard you. Getting wisdom is the wisest thing you can do. Again, wisdom kind of being kind of shown as a girl, right? As a kind of a woman. You know, like, man, don't forget her. Right? She's got good things to say. She's like a mom to you, man. You know, you listen to her. Getting wisdom is the wisest thing you can do. And whatever else you do, develop good judgment. Oh, that's so good, right? Judging right in your day. Judge good behavior kind of idea. If you prize wisdom, she will make you great. Embrace her, and she will honor you. She will place a lovely wreath on your head, and she will present you with a beautiful crown. My child, listen to me and do as I say, and you will have a long, good life. I will teach you wisdom ways and lead you in the straight path. So this is that idea of straight path. You know, you've probably heard that before, you know, the straight and narrow path. And this is kind of where we get that, is that wonderful proverb of, you know, walking in the straight path, right? Walking according to wisdom, having good judgment. You know, so a lot of these proverbs are going to be just that, how to have good judgment. How does that even work? You know, how do I know what I ought to do? You know, those kind of things. And so here we go. We'll see how this kind of flows now, okay? It says, when you walk, you won't be held back. When you run, you won't stumble. Take hold of my instructions and don't let them go. Guard them, for they are key to life. Ooh, they are key to life, right? It says, don't do as the wicked do, and don't follow the path of evildoers. Don't even think about it. Don't go that way. Don't turn away. Keep moving. Hey, keep going. When you see something going wrong, you know, don't stop. Keep going. You know, when you see people starting to connive and do their thing, just keep moving on in your life, man. Don't get caught up in it. Don't even think about it. It's amazing how it says don't even think about it, right? Because a lot of times something gets lodged in our mind and then it's hard to get it out, right? When we get something lodged in our brain, then it seems like it just wants to take over. You might have had that before too in your mind, where you've kind of thought about something and then it seemed like it was very difficult to get it out of your head until you just went ahead and did it, right? And then you know, you could, you know, move on. But here I love how it says that. Don't do as the wicked do, right? Don't even think about it. Don't go that way. For evil people can't sleep until they've done their evil deed for the day. There it is, right? It's in the brain. Gotta go do it. They're thinking through it. And it says they can't rest until they've caused someone to stumble. They eat the food of wickedness and drink the wine of violence. Ugh, right? Actions that really rip and tear and, cause a lot of destruction. And just constantly thinking about it all the time. You know, that's why the Bible talks about renewing the mind, probably, right? Is that we need to renew our mind, get our minds off of those things. You know, why do we need to listen to a lot of different kinds of music? Why do we need to maybe get our minds on something different? Because we know that a mind is powerful. If you get thoughts and, man, you think about food, right? And you start getting into the food you like, man, pretty soon you're just like, it's hard to stop, right? It's like you want to go and do it. And if you think about it enough, man, it's really challenging to put the brakes on and just not go after that burrito, or not go to 31 Flavors and eat ice cream, or whatever it is that you want to do. It just becomes super difficult. But it's like that with lust, you know, and the computer and the mouse and watching images and watching videos and different things like that, or just many things, right? Anger, right? You think about it, you let it fester, you let it fester. Resentment, you let it fester, you let it fester. And it's just a matter of time before, right, you blow up, you say something, right? Because out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks, right? We tend to have a lot of things going on in us that if we don't deal with properly, they can come out. You know, we have to learn to have peace with people. God, let me be at peace with people. You judge people, Lord. Let me love them. Let me care for them. Let me think about them. Let me pray for them. Man, that's a good word. It says, the word of the righteous, this is verse 18, is like the first gleam of dawn, which shines even brighter until the full light of day. But the way of the wicked is like total darkness. They have no idea what they are stumbling over. My child, pay attention to what I say. Listen carefully to my words. And isn't that so true? Do people in our world not even know what they are doing? They don't even know. They have no idea what they are stumbling over. Do people, is that true? Yeah, that's real true. When I walk outside, when I'm growing up, right, and I'm on Sunset Boulevard, going to all the clubs, right, going to, the Whiskey, or going to the Roxy, or whatever it is that I'm going to, what show, or, later on in life, I'm going to a rave, wherever, all those things, Compton Indoor Swap Meet, Shiva's Erotic Banquet, all these different raves that I went to, right? Different names, crazy names, different things. Did I know really what was going on, what I was doing, where I was? No. It's like I have no idea. I like how it says they have no idea what they are stumbling over. And if you asked me, I wouldn't even know what I was tripping over in life. I didn't even have a brain to think that way. I was just so caught up in the entertainment. I was so caught up in the animal instinct, impulses, that I wasn't even on that page. I don't even know if my brain could think that way. Maybe someone tried to tell me hey, Bo, you got to be careful, but it just didn't register at all. It just wasn't in there, See, the Bible, when I think about the world and I read the Bible, it makes total sense, right? It's totally jiving with it. Yeah. People have no idea what they're stumbling over. We don't know we're stumbling over our pride. We don't know we're stumbling over resentment. We don't know we're stumbling over, all of our issues in our heart, discontentment, whatever it is. A lot of times we don't even know we're stumbling over those things, living by fear, right? But we are. It says, my child, pay attention to what I say. Listen carefully to my words. Don't lose sight of them. Let them penetrate deep into your heart, for they bring life to those who find them and healing to the whole body. Yeah, wisdom can bring that healing. So we see a reiteration of the beauty of wisdom in chapter 4. We've already read about all this stuff already in the proverb about wisdom being this great kind of mom figure sharing, and you listen, pay attention, right? It's just reiterated here. Let's say it that way. And it says, guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life. What a cool passage. I've seen that on a tattoo before on someone's body. 23, guard your life, right? For it determines the course of your life. Man, pay attention to what's in there, right? Look straight ahead and fix your eyes on what lies before you. Mark out the straight path for your feet. Stay on the safe path. Don't get sidetracked. Keep your feet from following evil. Get your brain focused on just walk in a certain way. Really work on it, and that's something I always have to think about is, am I working on it? Because I can get really slack, and I'm sure you can too, where you just become very, very slack, or you become defensive, at what you're not doing, right? You should, you can get this way with your giving, right? I should be giving, tithing to the church. But if you're not tithing and someone brings it up to you, hey, how about tithing? And you, what? I give to many, but you become defensive, like, oh man, Yeah, it's like sometimes, we can get a little defensive when we're corrected. But remember, the Proverbs say, don't be bummed when you're corrected. Remember what the Psalms even said. Hey, when someone corrects you, man, say right on. Thank you, kind of thing. Be grateful at the correction. That's wisdom, right? Speaking to you. So chapter 5 says, "My son, pay attention to my wisdom. Listen carefully to my wise counsel. Then you will show discernment, and your lips will express what you've learned. For the lips of an immoral woman," so wisdom will help your lips say the right thing. For he says, "For the lips of an immoral woman are as sweet as honey, and her mouth is smoother than oil." How do you know that, Solomon? How do you know that an immoral woman has sweet lips, my friend? And it's probably because Solomon... Yeah, you guessed it. Solomon was a involved dude with other people. He had an incredible sexual appetite, this guy. And sometimes we think in our world our sexual appetites are large, right? And sometimes they are, right? There's no doubt about it. But Solomon definitely takes the cake. I mean, he definitely is a guy who had a lot of females. I'm not sure their age. I'm not sure anything like that. You know, I don't know where you could find that kind of information. But the point being is that this guy really walked down a road of fulfilling his lusts. And we read the book of Ecclesiastes, where he said he withheld no pleasure from himself. And so maybe he's speaking already from some interesting knowledge, not only maybe in his own personal life at this time, maybe this is before he entered into all that. I don't know. But we certainly know that he had some life experience of watching his dad. Yeah, his dad, King David. So, King David had many women. Not even close to as many women as Solomon. But wasn't a great example for Solomon. And it says, "But in the end she is as bitter as poison, as dangerous as a double-edged sword." Now, think of it too as a woman, a young woman who's baited by a man. Right? So think of it both ways. A young woman who's baited by a man, right? It sounds like he's all hip and all that, but really, man, it's poison, right? He sounds like he's... Now, I could relate to that, you know. Sure, I can relate to this both ways, but I could relate to it, you know, certainly as a guy who's trying to manipulate and get something out of a girl, right? And, you know, and the idea is that there's these traps that we fall into. And there's something that we think like, oh man, she likes me. Oh, he likes me. Oh man, you know how it is growing up. It's like, oh God, she likes me. He likes me. No, it's not like that. They don't really like you. You know, they might lust you, you know, but they don't love you. And there's a difference between love and lust. One just is an unbridled desire that the Bible says to be careful, for lust wars against the soul. And love is far different. And you can read about love in 1 Corinthians 13. But it's patient and it's kind. It does not seek its own. It's not boastful, proud, and all those things. It doesn't parade itself. But here it says, this person's her feet go down to death. Her steps lead straight to the grave, for she cares nothing about the path to life. She staggers down a crooked trail and doesn't realize it. Man, she's drunk as a skunk. So now, my sons, listen to me. Never stray from what I'm about to say. You know, so many of us that enter into sexual immorality, we have to get ripped to do it, right? You have to get tanked to go that direction. That's why when you're in Mexico partying all the time, what are you doing? You're drinking a ton. Why? Because you're going to do something sexually dumb, right? You're going to do something really irresponsible. And I really feel for the younger generation, for sure. Why do I feel for them? Because they have these things called phones that they record themselves and they can upload them for everybody to watch. See, the sad thing about modern day pornography, which isn't just an industry, but it's all of us. All of us are, in a sense, makers of porn and distributors of pornography, because we have these phones, right? And you can be all ages nowadays and be involved in this, and you can distribute your videos. It's unbelievable, right? The sad thing is the distribution of everything. That's what it is. It's the massive amounts of distribution, right? That's all out there. But I tell you what, how much is linked to drugs and sexual immorality, alcohol and sexual immorality? The statistics are really high on how many people have their first encounters with sex and they're on some kind of stimulant. You know, that's a real high amount. Now, me growing up in the backyard of parties, man, I saw this all the time. This was life. This was not something. What we're reading here is the real deal. I mean, yeah, you stagger. You know, you're staggering, you know, into that room, you know. And so as we see, the Bible tells it like it is. And maybe the reason why a lot of us don't like it is because maybe it hits the heart a little just too much. It is like a doctor's needle, man. It is precision, you know, scalpel. It's cut in the right spots, but man, it hurts a little bit. So stay away from her. Don't go near the door of her house. Hey, don't go to that thing. Don't go to the party. Don't go. You know, that's the idea, is don't get there. Don't take the step. And it says, if you do, you will lose your honor, and you will lose to merciless people all that you have achieved. Hey, everything you've built up, man, it'll tear down in a moment. And those people don't care. People don't care about you, you know. That's what lust does not care, you know, and that's the sad part. It doesn't care about you. It doesn't care about your kids. It doesn't care about your wife or your husband or whoever in your life, boyfriend, girlfriend. It just doesn't care, right? Lust just goes beyond, right? It's unbridled. Strangers will consume your wealth, and someone else will enjoy the fruit of your labor. Oh, man, it reminds me of, you know, just the movies, you know, especially those old black and white movies, those film noir movies, you know, where, you know, people get mixed up with the wrong person sexually. They're married, they have a mistress, and then someone, right, takes over the wealth. I was just watching an old movie from the 30s called The Women. I don't know if you've ever seen that, The Women's. My wife told me to watch it, and I love the old movies, so I watched it, and man, it was so true of this verse, right? That strangers will consume your wealth, and someone else will enjoy the fruit of your labor. These guys were just really reckless with their sexuality, and their money flowed to other people. It's just unbelievable. In the end, you will groan in anguish when diseases consume your body. Another interesting fact that the proverb talks about is there's consequences like a disease potentially. How many people have chlamydia or some kind of other disease that they never thought they had, but they do have it? It's just been growing in them for a while. Or they get something else. Or, you know, I grew up in LA area where we had the AIDS epidemic out there. That was crazy. Don't get me wrapped up with the Fauci thing on that. But anyway, the age that I grew up in, that's what was happening out in Los Angeles, is the people were dying of AIDS. All kinds of issues with that, you know, for many different reasons. But one of them certainly was our sexual recklessness. You know, not all the reasons, but certainly some of them. Some of us, you know, there was consequences to those things. And so we see that that's what the Proverbs says, right? Diseases can consume your body. And you will say, how I hated discipline. If only I had not ignored all the warnings. Oh, why didn't I listen to my teachers? Why didn't I pay attention to my instructors? I have come to the brink of utter ruin, and now I must face public disgrace. Oh man, now it's like I have to face the world. And now I have to tell the world just what I did. Man, I did this, I did that. And, you know, and it's tough. You know, I have a group that I go to just to talk about sexual things because of my own temptations and trials, things like that. And that's something that I've been doing for a long time. But I still need it all the time. I need it all the time because that's a temptation that's always my way. And I wish I was perfect in it, but I'm not. There's times where I find failure and it really bothers me. And so I get involved in the group and I meet and, I discuss and I open up my life. But some people keep those things a secret. They don't tell anybody. They stop going to church, right? And they just get involved in their sexual immorality. They just go the other way. They just go different. I don't want to go to church. Why? Because you don't want that conviction. You don't want to think about it, right? We all want to think that we're doing okay. But man, there is a consequence to those decisions that you're making, right? Sometimes we do. The best thing we could do is face the correction of those consequences, And that's tough, I know. It's tough words. But notice this person's come to the utter brink of ruin and now has to face that public disgrace. You think of the presidents and those people that, when they get caught doing something, how it all just comes out to the public, and man, that's really rough. I feel for them, Drink water from your own well. Share your love with your wife, with only your wife. I love that. That's a really good word, huh? Hey, drink water from your own well, bro. Stay with your spouse. Don't drink that water from someone else's well. Don't go into that person who is married's life, right? Don't get involved with a married person, It says, why spill the water of your springs in the streets, having sex with just anyone? Whoa, so true. Why go in there? It's so graphic too, man. That's pretty radical, right? The graphic nature of it. Spilling your water in the springs in the street, having sex with just anyone? Man, why take your water from your well and just go throw it anywhere, right? No, it's valuable. Water's valuable in the desert, is it not? Absolutely, man. You don't just waste it. Well, I guess the point is that maybe your sex life is kind of important. And maybe it has massive ramifications for what you do sexually. And you're not just to waste it. You're not just to throw it out. Now, a lot of us, when we can be honest to admit it, have failed in these areas. And so we're going to have to just say, hey, God, you know what? Forgive me for that past, but let's work on this future. Let's work on from here on out, doing things your way. That's the idea of wisdom. Is now we start walking and listening to wisdom. It says, you should reserve it for yourself, never share it with strangers. College students, never share it with strangers. Let your wife be a fountain of blessing for you. Rejoice with the wife of your youth. She is a loving deer, graceful doe. Let her breast satisfy you always. May you always be captivated by her love. Did the Bible just use the word breast and satisfy? Yeah, it did. Because the Bible's the real deal. That's why. It's telling you the truth. Man, be with your wife. Enjoy her. Have a blast, man. Be pleasured and have pleasure in your intimacy. Enjoy her body. That's right. You guys are there, not only to produce children, but also to enjoy pleasure together. There's something that God is showing us in the pleasure of the sex act, and that is that God creates us as pleasurable beings, able to be pleased and to give pleasure because God is ultimately pleased. He's a pleasurable being himself. He creates us in his image. Mind blower, right? There's an actual reason why there is sexual pleasure. It is to help us understand the nature, a character quality of the Creator. So we're all without excuse of who God is, meaning even in our actions, we can find God. He's close to us, right? We see his attributes even in our lives. Wow. Yeah, God is a pleasurable being, and he gives us the ability to be pleased, experience pleasure and to give it. So I love that. Hey, stay with your spouse. Why be captivated, my son, by an immoral woman, or fondle the breast of a promiscuous woman? For the Lord sees clearly what a man does, examining every path he takes. An evil man is held captive by his own sins. They are ropes to catch and hold him. He will die for lack of self-control. That's what we need, right? It's self-control. Look at our world. Does it have self-control? No, we need to have that fruit of this Holy Spirit. We need God to do a work in us so that we have self-control. He will be lost because of his great foolishness. That's right. It just becomes foolishness, right? At the end of our life, when we're old and falling apart, we're going to look back on all that lack of self-control and just go, what was that all about? Did it really matter? Was it really beneficial? Did I really help the people I was with? Did I love them? Did I really care for them? Did they really need me to do what I did to them? Is that what they needed at that time? Or was I neglecting the obvious, that they were looking for love in all the wrong places, and I exploited that? Man, there's some heavy-duty questions and thoughts to think about. And this is the cool thing, is when you think about your sexual life, you now start getting very, very down to the roots of what is moving you. You might be a person who's in a marriage who you withhold all the pleasure to your spouse as a kind of a tool to get what you want. See, now you see the manipulation in your heart. You fear giving. You fear what that's going to do. Maybe you've been mistreated, and maybe there's a reason why you are that way. But a lot of times when we talk about our sexuality, it really gets down to the real issues in our heart. And that's why a lot of us don't want to talk about sexuality and why it is such a scary topic for most people, because you just got to chip away a little bit into your sexual behavior or my sexual behavior, whether you're hardcore and you're going nuts or whether you're holding back in a marriage. And you can start finding all the issues of your heart, right? Man. So it can really, really bring out some powerful things that are going on in our life when we talk about this topic. So it's something that we need to learn to talk about, especially with God. But great Proverbs 4 and 5. Man, absolutely off the charts. So, hey, hope you guys have a great day. Enjoy it. Sorry I had to do one in the morning, but that's just the way it is today. Got some chapel work got to do, so I'm off to do it. You guys take care. Bye-bye.